One of the things that came out today that I thought was really interesting was that apparently there's going to be way more Alex Kurtzman with Star Trek going forward. And this, of course, is going to trigger and anger a whole bunch of people because apparently Alex Kurtzman ain't done and he has just been extended to 2026 with CBS Studios.
Oh, man. Some people are going to be really butt mad about that.
Some people are going to be really mad about that. You know what I mean? I was actually listening to some people tonight. This is how I found out about it. I didn't even know about it today. And then this was a big thing. Look, here's what people need to realize is you can dislike Star Trek Discovery and whatever they're doing over there all you want. They've got 5 shows right now. They got 5 fucking shows. You've got Discovery, you've got Lower Decks, you've got PICARD, you've got the upcoming animated series, and you got the upcoming, I think, the New Worlds or whatever it is, another spinoff show of Discovery.
They are trying very hard to make Star Trek relevant again.
They're not even trying. They have made it relevant. Let's be fair. If you're pushing 5 shows at almost at one real given time, like that is relevant.
Well, it does seem really insular to its own community because I don't really hear about Star Trek that often outside of people who already like it. But I don't know. It seems like they're doing okay, at least at retaining the attention of people who are already Star Trek fans. I don't know if it's growing, though, is my point.
Well, I mean, obviously, look, the thing is Star Trek is appealing to a different demographic. And that demographic, because Star Trek is really, nowadays, Star Trek has heavily been pushing inclusion. They've been heavily pushing diversity. They openly feature non-binary and trans and LGBT actors.
Star Trek was always progressive, though.
They were always progressive. And that's the funny thing. Star Trek was always fucking woke. It was whatever. No, seriously, it was. Go back and look at like what Roddenberry has said. Go back and look at like how that shit was portrayed. The first interracial kiss on TV was between William Shatner and Nichelle Nichols, and that was a big thing. So much so that they were effing up their other takes, so the editors couldn't cut around them kissing because they were a little bit worried about what it's going to be like if people out there see a white man and a black woman kissing on television. Oh, no. It's going to rain cats and dogs. It's going to be mass hysteria, all that stuff. And the show was always woke. It was very progressive. It was a very, anti-materialistic society, the Federation was, and everything else. And yet people today, the ones that are super mad about this, the ones that call it woke and the ones that constantly attack it are like, they fail to understand the core tenets of what Roddenberry was creating. And they don't, these are the same people, by the way, that are freaking out over Masters of the Universe, calling it woke, calling everything woke. Everything is, because that was the thing. You sent me the Nerdrotic video clip earlier today, right? About Marvel's Katie. And it's like, oh, is it, it's like, come on, you're already trying to create a narrative by saying that Aquafina in Shang-Chi is going to end up being the new Rose Tico. And it's like, come on, guys, are you really scraping the bottom of the barrel?
Oh, no. And chick better make fun of her, point and laugh. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Oh, I know. It's so ridiculous. And we are going to talk really quickly about that here in a second, with the last story of the night, really. But the interesting thing here is that so many people are, they buy this shit without ever really thinking about what it is that Star Trek was. So anyway, Kurtzman's Secret Hideout banner will expand under the new agreement to add add an executive to help manage its growing slate of series. Longtime Kurtzman partner Heather Kadin remains the head of content, which is shepherding 5 Star Trek branded series, as well as the Comedy Rule and the upcoming The Man Who Fell to Earth. So, I mean, the company has become a reliable supplier of high-end shows for CBS, Showtime, and Paramount Plus. And right now, they need that. Paramount absolutely needs that because they're competing on that space. They are competing with, Universal and Peacock and Netflix and Amazon and Hulu and Disney Plus and all the other stuff, HBO Max, all the other stuff. But Star Trek is going to be part of it. And look, Paramount has a lot of very high-end brands, but Star Trek is kind of its crown jewel.
Yeah, and you're right.
They are very much trying to let people know at this point that they are happy with things. Now, if you've been ever following a lot of the negative Nancys here on YouTube that talk about Star Trek, they've been saying for years, Star Trek Discovery is canceled. Star Trek Discovery is over. The show is not going to be allowed to move forward. It's we're not getting another season. And then they say all these things. And then people go out and they go, but no, look, they've got, because they film it in Toronto. Oh, no, look over there, they're shooting it right now. And it just every time, keep in mind, this is all the Doomcroc crowd of people, right? The Doomcock, whatever you want to call them. Doom dipshit, whatever. I mean, like, this is a guy who says constantly the sequel trilogy is going to get canceled. All of this is going to get canceled. And he said Star Trek Discovery is going to get canceled. All of these people are wrong. All the time, they're wrong. 100%. And yet they continuously think that they're right. And that is a hell of a grift that they have, I'll fully admit. But it's definitely, look, they say here, keeping Kurtzman in the ViacomCBS family was important to the conglomerate at a moment of skyrocketing competition for top creative talent. He's a creative steward who plots out the storylines and distribution strategies for Star Trek content for years to come. At present, the Trek tote board encompasses Paramount Plus's Star Trek Discovery, Star Trek PICARD, Star Trek Lower Decks, and the upcoming Star Trek Prodigy. And then also on top of that too, Star Trek Strange New Worlds. And here's the thing, we're going to probably end up getting a lot of other Star Trek shows in the process.
Oh, wow. See that right there where it says Star Trek Prodigy is going to be going on Nickelodeon? Yeah, they're clearly trying to make new Star Trek fans with that one right there. That's
100%.
That's what I've been saying that they've been failing at these past few years. They haven't really been getting many new people into Star Trek. So I'm good. I'm glad they're at least trying to do that. That's a good sign.
Well, and that's, again, think of it like this, right? So they've got the Star Trek Lower Decks, which aims to kind of appease the Rick and Morty fans.
Yeah, that's like an adult comedy.
It's an adult comedy.
Cool.
There are people I have talked to that hated Discovery. They were worried as hell about Lower Decks, and they found themselves absolutely loving Lower Decks. I've seen like 3 episodes of it, and I liked it. Nice. I know the new season drops here, I think, next week. And a lot of people out there are like, they have a fan base for that, and they want to keep with it. This new Star Trek Prodigy show, which I saw the trailer for not too long ago, looks pretty interesting. And I think it is going to end up really appealing to a lot of younger people out there. And that's the thing, is it's good. If you can't sit there and get kids to come over to fucking Star Trek by showing them the motion picture.
Yeah.
Or even, I'm sorry, this is a hot take. This is a bold take, or even the original series. As much as I love the original series, that shit is boring as fuck sometimes.
A lot of people have agreed it hasn't aged as well as like the Next Generation.
No, the Next Generation was very, very episodic, and it was very, it's much made for TV.
I think that still holds up quite a lot.
It does, yeah. I mean, and I know people now who've been getting into DS9, and I could never get into DS9, but they've told me like, no, skip like the first season or two, and like come on in like three seasons in, or just kind of, or barrel through it because it's really good. Or Star Trek Enterprise, or Star Trek Voyager. There's a lot of other shows out there that, that came out in like the 90s and early 2000s. I mean, we had a solid like 16 years of Star Trek shows with Next Generation, DS9, Voyager, Enterprise. You had Star Trek, Star Trek, the original crew doing at least was 90, early 90s for Star Trek 6, I believe. Then you had Star Trek Generations in the late 90s, followed up by the 3 other TNG movies. And then, so that's all like in a pretty,
it was really just like the late 2000s, early 2010s where we didn't have much Star Trek content.
Well, we had the JJ reboot of it. Yeah. And a lot of people out there have not been fans of the JJ. I like the JJ movies, but I can understand like why they want to appeal to that demographic, and that's also why, again, like just recently it was reported that Star Trek 4 with Chris Pine and the original cast is going to be working. They're doing a 4th Star Trek movie, and the last one came out 5 years ago. So it's one of those things where you can see that there is still a very, very dedicated fan base of people out there, and the ones that are trying to decry it as being over do not know at all what in God's name it is that they're talking about.
You know what it is? They just want the same reaction, the same money, more importantly, that they got out of making fun of the Star Wars sequels, which are just more latent with issues. Like, there's so much to riff on there with, like, the sequels compared to, like, anything else. Like, they're just trying to get the same grift, I feel like, that they were trying to get off, like, the Star Wars hate off pretty much everything else.
And that's essentially all it really boils down to at this point, is just a lot of that. And everyone's like, oh, all right.
Get the fuck out of here.
So yeah, anyway, I do want to hear what you guys have to say about this. As always, you can call in a voicemail number 323-305-4101 and get maybe played here on the show. So 323-305-4101. I got to memorize that. I will. I will memorize that, and it will be glorious.